Willpower has nothing to do with it. Every time you crave something sweet, you're not failing a diet. You're obeying a 2 million-year-old command that was written for a world that doesn't exist anymore, and your brain has no idea the world has changed. Think about that for a second. Right now, sugar is everywhere. It's in your coffee, your bread, your salad dressing, your healthy granola bar. It's in the sauce on your takeout, the yogurt you had for breakfast, the drink you grabbed without thinking. It's cheap. It's available 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. You could eat sugar at every single meal for the rest of your life and never once run out. But for almost the entire history of our species, that was never true. Not even close. For 2 million years, sugar was rare. It was seasonal. It was hidden inside things that were hard to find and easy to lose. A ripe fruit that only grew for a few weeks a year. A bird's nest full of berries at the top of a tree. A wild beehive dripping with honey, guarded by thousands of insects that would happily kill you for it. That was it. That was the entire sugar supply for the human species. And here's the thing. When something is rare, valuable, and only available for a few weeks a year, evolution doesn't tell you to enjoy it in moderation. Evolution tells you to take as much as you possibly can, as fast as you possibly can, before something else gets there first. So that's exactly what our brains learned to do. And they got very, very good at it. But here's what nobody tells you. That program is still running. Right now. In you, and understanding why changes everything about how you see yourself. In the 1970s, researchers started mapping something called the brain's reward system, and what they found was strange enough that some of them didn't believe it at first. Sugar didn't just taste good, it lit up the same neural pathways as some of the most addictive substances ever discovered. Not similar pathways, the same ones. Dopamine floods in the moment sugar hits your tongue. Your brain immediately tags the experience as important, memorable, and worth repeating. This is the exact same system that drives compulsive gambling, the same system targeted by certain recreational drugs, the same system that makes you check your phone even when you know there's nothing new on it. And the moment you understand that, the craving stops feeling like a character flaw. It starts feeling like what it actually is. An instruction. But here's what's fascinating. This system isn't a flaw, it isn't a glitch in the code. For most of human history, it was one of the most elegant survival tools your body ever built. Because back then, sugar meant something very specific. It meant safe, fast, calorie-dense energy with almost zero risk attached. Think about the alternative. To get meat, you had to hunt. Hunting is dangerous. It takes hours, sometimes days. You might get gored, trampled, or simply outrun. And most of the time, even if everything goes right, you come home empty-handed. Frank Marlowe, who studied the Hadza hunter-gatherers of Tanzania for decades, found that on any given day, most hunters return with nothing at all. A successful kill happens maybe once every few days, sometimes less. Fruit, on the other hand, doesn't run away. It doesn't have horns, it doesn't fight back, it just sits there dense with sugar, practically advertising itself with color and smell. Low risk, high reward, immediate energy. A brain that went absolutely crazy for sugar, that treated every sweet thing as an emergency worth dropping everything for, was a brain attached to a body that was going to survive long enough to have children. And a brain that shrugged at ripe fruit and thought, I'll pace myself, was a brain attached to a body that was going to starve. There was never a version of early humans who ate sugar in moderation. The moderate ones didn't make it. You are descended in a direct unbroken line from the ones who couldn't stop. That craving you feel isn't something that snuck into your DNA by accident. It's the reason your DNA exists at all. But that's only half the story. And honestly, the second half is stranger. In 1972, a British physiologist named John Yudkin published a book called Pure, White, and Deadly. He argued something that almost nobody in the mainstream scientific establishment wanted to hear. Sugar, not fat, was the real driver behind rising rates of heart disease, obesity, and metabolic illness. The food industry pushed back. Hard. Fat became the villain. Sugar got a pass. Low-fat products flooded the market, and to make them taste like anything at all, manufacturers quietly replaced the fat with something else entirely. Sugar. For decades, Yudkin's research sat largely ignored. But more recent studies have been circling back to exactly what he was saying, and the picture emerging is uncomfortable. Sugar doesn't just sit quietly in your bloodstream, it triggers a cascade. Your ancient body was never built to manage on a daily basis. Insulin spikes. Fat storage signals fire. Chronic low-grade inflammation builds in the arterial walls. The systems that were designed for a seasonal rush are now running year-round, at full intensity, with no off switch and no break. Because remember, your ancient body wasn't built for daily, it was built for occasionally, and only when you're lucky. But some researchers have gone even further than Yudkin, and what they've found is the part that's genuinely hard to shake. A small number of evolutionary biologists studying the deep history of human metabolism have proposed something that sounds almost too wild. What if our hunger for sugar was never purely about immediate energy at all? What if, at some point in our evolutionary past, a surge in sugar consumption functioned like a biological alarm? A signal that summer was ending, that winter was coming, and that the body needed to store fat as fast as possible to survive the months of scarcity ahead. There's a gene, present in humans but far less active in other primates, that helps convert fructose into fat with unusual efficiency. Some researchers have called it a kind of ancient winter preparation switch. When sugar becomes available, the body doesn't just use it, it banks it, aggressively, urgently, as if it already knows somewhere deep in its wiring that the abundance won't last. For 2 million years, it didn't. It's a fringe theory. Most scientists don't consider it the complete picture, but it raises a question that's hard to dismiss once you've heard it. What if your body isn't broken? What if it's doing exactly what it evolved to do, preparing you for a famine that, in most of the modern world, simply never comes anymore? Here's where mainstream science actually lands, and this is the part that ties everything together. It's called evolutionary mismatch, and it's the same framework that explains why 80% of humans will develop chronic back pain, why we struggle to fall asleep under artificial light, why we feel a low hum of anxiety in crowds of strangers even when nothing is wrong. Your body is running ancient software on modern hardware, and the two were never designed for each other. Sugar wasn't dangerous for 2 million years, so your brain never developed a reliable stop signal for it. There was no need. In the ancestral world, sugar was self-limiting. The fruit ran out. The season ended. The bees fought back. You couldn't overeat sugar even if you tried because the supply simply wouldn't allow it. Then, in the blink of an evolutionary eye, that limit disappeared entirely. Industrial sugar production exploded over the last 200 years. Refining got cheaper, shipping got faster, corn syrup made it possible to add sugar to almost anything for almost nothing. The rarest, most prized caloric substance in the entire ancestral world was suddenly available on every shelf, in every store, in quantities that would have seemed like a hallucination to any human alive before the 18th century. Your environment changed in 2 centuries. Your brain is still waiting for an update that takes thousands of generations to arrive, so it's still running the same program. When you find sugar, eat as much as you can, as fast as you can, because you don't know when you'll see it again. Except now, you always see it again. In an hour, in the next room, on the way home, in the thing you're going to reach for after you finish watching this. So every time you reach for something sweet and feel like you should be able to stop but can't quite manage it, that's not weakness. That's not lack of discipline. That's not a personal failing you need to fix. That's a 2 million-year-old alarm system going off exactly the way it was engineered to, in a world it was never engineered for. And maybe the strangest part of all of this isn't the craving itself, it's the guilt we layer on top of it. We built a world that puts sugar in everything. We engineered it into every corner of daily life, made it cheaper than water in some places, and then we act surprised when ancient hardware designed to devour every available scrap of it does exactly that. Your ancestors who craved sugar the most, who couldn't walk past a fruit tree without stopping, who would climb something dangerous and fight something angry just to reach the honey, those are the ones who survived the famines. The ones who made it through the winters, the ones who eventually, after 2 million years of doing exactly what their brains told them to do, became you. That craving isn't a flaw you inherited. It's the reason you're here at all. It just never got the memo that the emergency ended. And in a world that keeps building sweeter things and placing them closer and closer to your hands, maybe the most honest thing we can say is this: the problem was never you. It was always the mismatch between a brain built for scarcity and a world drowning in abundance, between a species that evolved to survive and a system designed to exploit exactly that. We didn't fail the diet. The diet never stood a chance.